Hey everyone, it's Kate from the Bookkeeping Side Hustle group. I am glad to have y'all here. I am excited to be with some folks from Intuit this afternoon. We're going to be talking about some job opportunities. You know, most of my things that I've shared have maybe a little bit more to do with the entrepreneurial side, but I know there are a lot of job seekers in the group. And so Intuit's hiring for, hundreds of jobs that are would be appealing to lots of folks in this audience, and a lot of y'all would be qualified for. So we're going to learn about them. If you're ready to apply, you need to go to bookkeepingsidehustle.com/Intuit to apply. And there's two buttons at the top. There's a TurboTax Live position and a QuickBooks Live position. And so I'll say that throughout the interview again, but bookkeepingsidehustle.com/Intuit to apply. I will be taking questions as we are going through this interview, so type them in the comments, and some of them we might be able to answer live, some of them we might, if it's more appropriate, we'll save them to the end, but go ahead and type them as they come to mind. And I think we're going to get started. I have 4 folks here today. I have 2 recruiters, one from the QuickBooks Live jobs and one from the TurboTax Live jobs, and then even what I'm even more excited, there's 2 folks that are joining us who are currently working as experts in the QuickBooks Live department and the TurboTax Live department. So we're going to get to pick their brain about, a day in the life, as I told them to prepare to answer questions like that. Just what's it like to do this job? So I would like to let everyone introduce themselves. They'll just start out by saying maybe name and maybe where you're located, and when we specifically ask you lots of questions, you can give us some more details. But let's start with Janai. And tell us what your job is too. You're on mute. It's okay.
Thank you. Hi everyone. Yes, I work with QuickBooks Live, and I started working with them December 2019. So my 1-year anniversary is coming up, and I'm glad to be here to help out. Thanks.
Awesome. And we've got Vicki Crawford. Let's hear from you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Vicki Crawford. I actually reside right now in Indiana, and I have been on board with Intuit since 2017.
Awesome. And Karina, one of the recruiters.
Hello, I'm Karina Deckard. I am in Southern California, and I lead the recruiting efforts for TurboTax Live, and I've been here for the last 7 seasons.
All right, we got one more, last but definitely not least, Blair Driven.
Hey everybody, good afternoon. Blair Driven. I sit out of Intuit San Diego location, specializing in recruiting for QuickBooks Live, and happy to be here today. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, so I'm glad we got, oh my goodness, we got like 40 people watching. Great. Let's dive in. So we're going to start with Karina and Blair, and then we're going to switch to Janai and Vicki. Karina, though, you're recruiting for the TurboTax Live positions, and I got lots of questions, but why don't you just give us sort of the main things that new interested employees might want to ask? Experience required, application process, compensation, training. I know there's lots of benefits as well. So what are the nitty-gritty details of applying for this job?
All right, so for TurboTax Live, we have 2 different positions we're offering. It's a tax associate and a tax expert position.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you both roles are seasonal remote. Seasonal meaning that it's strictly just for the tax season. And they're customer-facing positions where in both roles, you're assisting the customers with their state tax, with their state taxes from across the U.S. Our agents may be asked to either fully review, prepare, and or sign off on returns depending on the complexity of the returns that the customer is working with. For both roles, our agents will be using our state-of-the-art video communication. It's a software called SmartLook, so they will be on video during the entire call, and it's up to the customer. If they don't want to be on video, that's fine. But I'll tell you, for our tax associates, what we're looking for is a minimum of 3 years or 3 seasons of paid tax preparation experience, along with an active PTIN, which is a personal tax identification number, And then for our tax experts, everyone is required to have a valid active credential, whether it's a CPA or enrolled agent license or a practicing attorney, along with an active PTIN. Now, for either role that you apply for, what the next step would be is to have a recruiter call you. One of our recruiters would conduct a phone screen and go into, we've got a series of questions that we would ask during that phone screen conversation and tell you a little bit more about the job. And then if you meet the minimum qualifications, then we send you to complete a video interview. Our video interviews are done through a digital tool called HireVue. And during the HireVue process, it's to really assess your tax knowledge, your research ability, your customer empathy, and communication. And the format of our video interviews, it's a combination of video questions, multiple choice, and written questionnaire. If that goes smoothly and you pass, then the next step is to get an offer to be able to start working for the tax season. Now, I'll tell you what we do offer is paid training. So training is also done virtually. It's about 10 days. It's a combination of self-led and live training sessions. You're not alone. Everyone's together. There's different managers and leads to guide you through the process. We will provide different resources that can be available at your fingertips if you need to help research a question that a customer is asking. So nobody's ever alone.
Okay.
When it comes to work schedules, I'll tell you across the board, what we require is a minimum of 20 hours a week based on availability. The work schedules will always cover our operating hours. So from January through April, TurboTax Live will operate 7 days a week between 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. Pacific. Our agents are the ones that are in control of signing up for their work schedules through a portal. So once somebody is hired, it's kind of like the Uber model. They'll be going in and selecting out days and times that they want to work as long as it's within that minimum of 20 hours a week.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to compensation, we do offer competitive rates, and it's based on the state that you reside in. So we have 50 states, different hourly rates available for all 50 states. Plus, we do offer an end of season performance bonus, and that bonus is based on metrics, your call volume. There's a lot of different metrics that the managers actually discuss during training to let you know what entails in that performance. Now, go ahead.
I was going to say, I have heard from paying attention to this job that the training benefits are particularly valuable. I know that y'all help people get their EA license, which I guess then would make you graduate up, right?
So that's separate. The training that we provide, that's whether it's for the tax associate or tax expert role, you go through that training specifically on, and you're not expected to know how to use TurboTax, which is one, just so you know. It's just really going through the process and procedures that Intuit has, the do's and don'ts on how you answer the calls. And just so you know, too, the calls are done through Amazon Connect. So what we provide, once you're hired, Intuit will provide you with the Intuit laptop, a headset, a video camera, and a backdrop. And the laptop, you'll use the calls, Amazon Connect. That's how the calls get routed through. So each call gets routed through based on the agent that's online. So let's say if I'm, as soon as one call ends, the next one comes through. And so there's a process that they'll learn during training. If you need a coffee break, you want to make sure you change your status so a phone call doesn't come in while you've stepped away from your computer. So all of that stuff is covered during training. But to your point, if somebody is hired in the tax associate role, what we offer is a program called ProDev, which gives every tax associate hire an opportunity to obtain their enrolled agent license paid by Intuit. So once you obtain your enrolled agent license, then you have the opportunity to be considered for the tax expert position. But
Okay.
everything else is on your own terms on, making the time to study for the exams, because I know it's like a 3-part exam for the enrolled agent license.
That's fantastic. Karina, I really appreciate all those details. We
Sure.
will see if some folks maybe answer some questions, and while they're coming, or ask some questions while they're coming in, I want to let Blair hit on the QuickBooks Live job details, and then we can hear from Janai and Vicky.
Awesome. Thanks.
Same
Great stuff, Karina.
questions, Blair. What's the skinny?
Sure. Yeah, the skinny is, we're excited to be hiring QuickBooks Live bookkeepers. The positions that we're looking for have some requirements, them being tied to professional QuickBooks Online experience, bookkeeping or accounting background, as well as having an active QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor certificate. For the certificate, if you don't have it during the time of initial phone screen or interview, that's something we can share info with you on how to get prior to being hired. But it is a requirement. In terms of learning about the role and applying, I would encourage you to look at the Intuit Careers site, and I think that you have links here too on your page, which is great.
Yes.
So you can apply that way, and then a recruiter would reach out to you to do an initial phone screen and assessment and move you through the process there. If that went well, then we would have you do the similar type of HireVue interview that Karina mentioned. It's a virtual interview. The difference, though, on this one is that it's tied to bookkeeping questions and QuickBooks Online experience. For the compensation, it's a little different than the TurboTax Live. It's based on the state where you're working from, as well as your background and experience. On the QuickBooks Live side, we hire at 4 different levels, starting at an associate bookkeeper, then a senior associate bookkeeper, an expert bookkeeper, and then last and the highest level is a senior expert bookkeeper. So the pay rates differentiate between those, and the hiring teams make the determination at what level to hire individuals on at based off of their experience, credentials, and how well they do on the HireVue interview. But we feel the compensation for those are competitive. And the good thing too, since these roles are year-round, we are able to offer a benefits package that includes medical, dental, vision, access to Intuit's employee stock purchase program. You get your birthday as a paid day off. There's a 401k with a very competitive match. And there is also a fiscal year-end bonus that is performance related, and it's around 8.5% of your fiscal year earnings, which is pretty phenomenal. We're really happy to be able to offer that as well. And so the positions are also part-time, and like Karina had mentioned, so that's a similarity. The difference, though, is that there's no seasonality to peak time with the QuickBooks Live roles. It's pretty steady throughout the year, where you would work a minimum of 20 hours per week. You can choose to work 25 and even up to 29 hours. And all those hours would be worked between QuickBooks Online regular business hours, which are Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific. And you'd be able to choose a specific schedule based on what works best for you within that time frame, and depending on how many hours per week that you'll work. And then just some tips for folks who are interested in applying. Any way you can showcase your bookkeeping experience, your accounting background, your experience with QuickBooks Online and customer service will definitely help you stand out amongst the crowd. And I just love to say it's a great opportunity, flexible year-round, and Intuit is a fantastic organization to partner with.
Blair, I have a question. Because a lot of us who have bookkeeping experience, I mean, some of it's maybe less formal, we're not working in a big accounting office or something. So Beth is asking, what do we need to show that we have 3+ years managing books for small businesses? Because I'm trying to think how I would do that. And I'd just be like, you have to just trust me that I've served my clients for 3 years.
Yeah, we're really looking to see if you have experience, managing books on a monthly basis for small or medium-sized businesses, because that's what the focus will be in this role. So that's something that you'd be able to talk through with the recruiter during the phone screen to showcase your experience and knowledge base there. And usually having QuickBooks Online experience is indicative of that too. So any way you can speak to that and list it on your resume would be helpful.
That's really great. And don't forget, guys, you go to bookkeepingsidehustle.com/Intuit, and there's 2 big buttons right at the top to apply. And those are just tracking links, so Intuit knows kind of how many folks from the Bookkeeping Side Hustle group are coming to their application pool from our awesome group. All right, now we're going to move to, hold on, let me do a quick question check. I think Rose has gotten some of the ones. Are all the QuickBooks Live roles via phone support, Blair? That's a quick one for you.
Yeah, great question. It's going to be a mix of video. They're very customer facing, just like the TurboTax Live roles. So you'll be on video, chat, and on phone with customers.
Okay. I'm going to move us on to, we're going to go to Vicki next. We'll get back to the TurboTax job because Vicki is on the TurboTax team. Vicki, give us the details of like sort of a day in the life. What's your work schedule like when you're doing the tax
Absolutely.
seasonal tax jobs?
My work schedule is fantastic because Intuit allows you to select your own schedule. And because, we have all the way through to Pacific Standard Time to work, and I live on the east side of the United States, so I can work much longer hours if I like. We do have a minimum of 20 hours to work. And during tax season, it ramps up. You can get up to 60 hours a week. I honestly like to take on the extra hours. I'm paid hourly and paid well. And so I try to do that if I can, but I also select my own time. And it just works great with that. They're so flexible with scheduling your own time the way you'd like to have it.
What did you do before TurboTax Live?
I started off in the military as my professional career, and I served 2 overseas tours. And when I came back, I ended up getting into the financial field and then went into tax and bookkeeping. And I did that by working for a wealth management firm, and it gave me great experience. But it's fantastic to be on board with Intuit because they offer so much more.
That's awesome. It's cool to hear someone who likes their job. And we were talking even before we went live, and I can just tell that you do. So
yeah,
it's refreshing. What made you decide to apply for this job? I mean, you could have gone down the road and tried to prepare taxes in a local office, right?
Yeah. So even prior to taking this job, I had just started my own tax and accounting business, and it was a year. Well, I kind of used this from a friend referring me, kind of like what we're doing right here. It wasn't a live video or anything, but the experience came on social media with Intuit. And so I jumped on board to kind of offset my business income. It was my stepping stone. And so I'm still on board because I actually like it so much, and the opportunities are amazing, and Intuit doesn't mind that I have my own business.
I was going to ask that if you still have your own clients. So that's,
I do.
I hope everyone who's listening hears that loud and clear, because that's one of the things I thought you were going to say that. And there's a lot of us who want to be able to do both. And the entrepreneurship side is,
right.
It's fun and it's thrilling, but sometimes it's nice to have a paycheck.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it's great.
Awesome. I want to, let's get to the honest truth here. Can you tell us a challenging or frustrating part of your job that you'd like to make sure people know? You know how I'm always about the full disclosure.
Sure. So, so if you've ever worked tax, tax season can be really hectic, really busy. So that just kind of comes with the territory. And so I guess if you go into this job knowing that it's not going to be much different than maybe your own tax business being crazy, then you'll be fine with it. The thing that I probably was a little disappointed in was when I jumped on board for the QuickBooks Live rollout. I did not realize that you had to wait, and one of the recruiters may know the time on this, but you had to wait, I want to say close to 90 days before you could jump back on board with something else. I had a contract to jump back on board with TurboTax Live 30 days after I was on with QuickBooks. And so then I was informed that I had to wait, whatever it was, 3 months to do that, which I did because I love it. And, I love both of those areas. So that was probably the most disappointing part for me, and really it was just because I didn't know.
Okay. Do you have a best tip for someone who's applying, from your perspective of like what the interview was like, what Intuit's looking for, how you chose what to highlight from your experience to get yourself that offer letter?
Absolutely. Well, so my interview is different than what I'm hearing. They do update things every year and make some of those things more automated. I did have an interview with 2 people, and So one of the recruiters mentioned using your ability to research. That's really important because we have those client-facing questions that you want to be ready for. So you have to be able to, use the TurboTax programs or Google or whatever you need to research while you're on the phone with somebody. And so I would say just be ready for that. The other thing is to scope out what the description for the job is and be familiar with that, because they're more than likely going to interview you with regard to whatever is pointed out on the job description.
That's a great tip. Yeah, make sure you do your research before you have any interview. And don't forget, you can apply at bookkeepingsidehustle.com/intuit, or where y'all can find my links, so they can know if y'all are from the Bookkeeping Side Hustle group. Vicki, thank you so much. We will circle back to you. People have questions for you at the end, but we're trying to keep this to 30 minutes. So I want to move to Janai and ask you about the QuickBooks Live job. I mean, this is the Bookkeeping Side Hustle group, even though there's lots of crazy pain-loving tax people out there. So tell us about the bookkeeping job. Work schedule, work a day in the life. What's it like when you log on each day?
Yeah, like Blair said, it's 6 to 6 Pacific Standard Time. And we pretty much get to choose our own schedule as well. Of course, there's certain positions that need coverage. So once you kind of pick your schedule, you're wanting to, stay in that schedule. And it's 20 to 29 hours. I right now have 24 hours. I have Mondays off, which is awesome. And then I work 2 4-hour shifts, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday I work 8-hour shifts. And in California, because that's where I live, you're bound to the 8 hours every day, of course. So you have to be very careful not to do overtime. They don't want overtime. And just recently, and if there's a big push to get some of the workload out, then they allow us to do up to 39 hours, which is really awesome. So if you want that extra little bit of hours, you're approved to work at 39 hours. So that's where we're at right now, to try to get some work out. So that's really cool.
Do you work with the same clients? Like, so in my business, I have my own clients, and so I know the books, and I'm in them the same ones every month. But is it not like that with the QuickBooks Live job?
So it depends. There's different SKUs, which is different services. We have ongoing, which you will work with the same, and you basically close them out every month. And then we have setup, and that's basically when they first start QuickBooks Online, they pay a small fee for setup. So it's basically you set them up and you're done with them. And then we have cleanup that we just started, and we're supposed to be going live today. So we're really excited. We started working on that. My team was asked to test it out to see how it works. So we started that in May, and we've been doing awesome. And so that you basically have 30 days. You have to clean them up, and then you're done with them. And so that one's really high intense, and you have to have a lot greater skills and experience. So I love being a part of that, because I've been able to help them develop, and we've basically made that SKU what it is now, and we're still constantly improving it.
You're one of those crazy cleanup people. Vicki's a crazy tax person. You're a crazy cleanup person. there are y'all sick people out there. It's funny.
Yes.
What about something that's frustrated you about the position? Give us the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
So to be honest, I love challenges. So I'm always ready for it. I have a lot of energy, and so I'm constantly trying to help out all my teammates. I would just say one kind of thing that frustrates me a little bit is to see some other people maybe in our area that are struggling to get things done, and they're not asking for help. They're not speaking up. And we're huge with growing and learning, and we help each other. But if you don't speak up and say, I'm struggling, how do I do this? Then it just sits there and it doesn't get done. And you don't learn, we don't get the work done. And so I think that that's probably just my only frustrating thing. But you know, like I said, I love challenges. I work well with all my teammates, which I'm very lucky. I have an awesome team, and but yeah, so I don't really have any complaints. So I love it.
That's great. I think it's the concept of there still being a team, even in the remote environment, is cool. I mean, I'm not necessarily looking for a job, but it stinks being lonely sometimes. You know, like that. Just the water cooler talk, even though it's all on like typing and chatting now instead of like actually by a water cooler. So the fact that you're all part of a team,
Yes.
that sounds appealing to me. So.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my list here. What were you doing before QuickBooks Live?
So right out of high school, I started doing, low-end accounting. So I've always pretty much done accounting, and I actually have a full-time job. Like Vicki mentioned earlier, we are allowed to keep our other jobs. And I also have my own business where I have some clients of my own. And I wanted to work with Intuit to supplement my income, which is awesome. So I've been able to sustain everything else that I was doing before. You just have to make sure you keep it separate. You can't merge them together or try to take, one client from the other. You have to just look at them like they're all completely different businesses. And I do a good job with that, which is fine. I don't intermingle any of them.
Awesome. I know Blair has to pop off in 2 minutes. I have a couple questions for you from the audience, Blair, I want to get to before we,
Sure.
Sorry, just going to quick shift.
Yeah.
This people were asking about the pay rates for the QuickBooks Live position. I think is it the state specific thing as well?
Yeah, we base it off of the state location where you'll be working from, and what we do is some market research for comparable roles and comparable skill sets in that area to make sure they're competitive. And we also base it off of your background and experience, and that's where you would be hired in at the appropriate level with the pay rates tied to that level.
Okay. And sorry, some of the comments have gotten buried back here. There was another one for you though. It was, does the previous experience have to be in QuickBooks Online? What if someone is a desktop jock worth applying? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, it's a good question because we come across a lot of candidates with that type of profile. I think it's easy for individuals to transition from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online, but we do need some sort of professional experience with QuickBooks Online for these positions here.
Okay.
And so one way individuals can gain a little bit there is by becoming QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor certified. And then I always just encourage these individuals to maybe try and have some of their clients switch over from desktop to online, or look for additional clients with online just to get that professional experience. Because when we hire individuals and train them, we don't train them on bookkeeping per se or on the QuickBooks Online. We're training them on our processes and how to interact with our customers and the expectations there. Yeah, and the expectation on our end is that they know bookkeeping, they know the QuickBooks Online software. So we do have a requirement where they need to have some professional experience within QuickBooks Online.
Okay. Blair, if you need to pop off, go ahead. I'm going to keep the other three of y'all just to make it a little less of abrupt wrap up, but we are going to start wrapping up, y'all. As you're applying for these jobs, go to bookkeepingsidehustle.com/Intuit, and there's two big buttons at the top for the TurboTax job and for the bookkeeping QuickBooks Live bookkeeping job. For a lot of y'all, it might be worth applying for both. There's a lot of, I see people who enter the group, and if you're not a good fit for one, you might be a great fit for the other. And I think the folks at Intuit will help you navigate that. Karina, someone's asking about benefits for part-time. All the jobs are part-time, and then Blair said there were benefits for QBO.
So for TurboTax Live, for our seasonal roles, we don't offer medical benefits. What we do offer is the opportunity to sign up for 401k and product discounts.
Okay. If y'all have any more questions, please ask. We've got 69 people watching. That's amazing. I think that, hearing Vicki and Janai's story of it's like the perfect perfect mix of the entrepreneur side, the being scrappy and, you know, going and getting clients. And then sometimes you're like, man, that's a whole lot of unpaid work that I'm doing, trying to do that. And so to have that kind of backfill as you're building your businesses, guys, I think it's great. And then turns out you might just love it and be like, I think there's something to be said for, you know, just like, wow, I have a great virtual job. Sure, yeah, maybe I can be the fancy, you know, virtual CFO or fractional CFO and get my own clients, but like that's not for everybody. Everyone's personality is not like that. Often I kind of, not that I'm really trying to be that, but I wonder if like most days I wake up and I'm like, am I really cut out for this? And I like how y'all are doing it. It's a good balance. And then the experience you'll get with working with all the different types of clients that you might not have ever been introduced to based on your own network. I mean, you're going to get partnered with people that Intuit is recruiting to be the small business customer. So I think that's neat. I'm looking for other questions. Can we specify our TurboTax experience sole proprietor? Alicia, you're going to have to expand on that question. I'm sorry, I'm not fully understanding it. Anything else, Vicki or Janai, that y'all would like to just cheer folks on with?
I would like to say, this is such a great company to work for. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on this video, but training is amazing. The job training, there's a lot of different training videos. It's whatever you need at hand, and hands-on training. And it's just great. And, you know, get your credential if you don't have it. And then if you need to keep up with your CPE for your credential, Intuit allows you to do it on the job. And, you know, you can work as many hours up to like 60 as the expert, TurboTax Live expert during tax season. It's just fantastic. I really can't express how awesome it really is. And, you know, speaking of awesome, one of their things that they say is to deliver awesome to our customers. Well, they deliver it to us as employees.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to hear Janai's wrap up, but Alicia expounded on her question, so I want to get that back in there. She's saying she only knows personal and sole proprietor tax experience. Does she need the corporate tax experience?
No.
Y'all even do the corporate returns?
No, as long as you're familiar with individual returns, you're good.
Okay, all right. Alicia, she says, I definitely want to apply. So go get them, girl. Janai, anything else for your fellow bookkeepers? Your cleanup crazy?
Yeah, definitely. So I wanted to just share that, you know, even if you feel like you're very green and you're just getting started in bookkeeping, I believe, you know, it's 1 year experience. So I would not shy away from applying if you're interested, because there's definitely a department for you. There's an area for you. The monthly and the setup is definitely more for, you know, it's for all levels, but it definitely also gears towards someone if they're starting off. The cleanup is definitely more challenging. So if you are interested in something more challenging, then you have the cleanup. So just don't be afraid. Try it out. It's all skill levels. There's going to be something for you. They're also constantly promoting to leads and managers, which is what I'm trying to move on to as well. So I can climb up the ladder, trying to make a career with Intuit. Just like Vicki said, they are a great company, and I'm really honored to work for them.
Awesome. Karina, this question that's coming in might be for you. Does education count for experience? Formal education.
It not so much, because even volunteer work will count. So if somebody's done 1, 2, or 3 years VITA, you know, that's volunteer experience, that's fine. Our tax expert and tax associate roles are not so much based on you need a degree. It's just really having that tax knowledge and having worked on individual returns.
Okay, so I'm hoping that kind of wraps in maybe Vanessa, your question, and Ashley, your question. Amanda is asking, does your ProAdvisor profile need to be completely filled out? I mean, I don't know. That's a probably more question for Blair.
Yeah, that's not a requirement, because we don't share our ProAdvisor information with customers. We aren't allowed to give our last name. We just give, like for me, it'd just be Janai F. So that's all we're allowed to give to our customers. So we don't share a Pro Advisor. So no, that file is not necessary.
All right. Well, folks, I'm going to wrap us up. Alicia is saying she needs the links to apply, so I'll wrap it up with one more time. If you go to bookkeepingsidehustle.com/Intuit, that's where my links are to apply for this, so they can track how many folks from our awesome community are headed their way. So I think that's it. I'm not seeing any more questions. Thanks to Rosa, who was from Intuit, for answering questions on the chat. Janai and Vicky are in our Facebook group as well, so tag them if you have questions. And I'm really excited. I would love to hear success stories. If we need to create like a little couple sub threads about, okay, I got my interview, someone give me the give me some encouragement. We can give you high fives. And I know so much of this job stuff is kind of mental anyway, so don't be scared to reach out and get encouragement from me, from Vicky, from Janai. And I really am grateful for your time, ladies, and for Blair too, the man of the group. He's gone. So I'll wrap up now. We will, we'll just be in touch, and I'm looking forward to lots of success stories. All right, bye, ladies.
All right, bye.
Bye.